Hello, hello. Are we live? Looks like we're live. I forgot to set like the Twitch title. What is my title? Sorry, I'm on multiple devices here. Advent Code 2024. Well, not exactly. It's close enough, maybe. Let's see. Twitch. We're going to be doing Advent Code here. We're going to be doing an Advent Code warm-up. I forget how to do any of this stuff. Streaming, you know. Alright, I don't want to watch that. It's probably too much for my network. I could probably do this in OBS. Warm-up, test, stream. Yeah, I think that's what this is. Cool, I like how the done button is like so far down it's impossible to click. Alright. Yeah, so I think I would have to like restart the stream for that to actually take effect. Oh no, there we go. Okay, stream title fixed. Let me close that tab. Don't want a bunch of network stuff going on in the background. So, usually like a week or two before Advent Code starts, it's November 22nd right now, so a little over a week before December 1st, I like to do a little bit of a warm-up to freshen my Advent of Code skills and to remember how to stream, because I have got to get the Twitch bot running. I have to get my OBS setup working. I have to pull out my microphone from the corner of my office. So I think that part is okay. I need to get my auto downloader working. I have a script that downloads the AOC input. So I probably have to like refresh my cookies or some bullshit. And I also have to figure out which day I want to do. So usually I start out with a day 1 to warm up because those are the easiest. So I only have one day 1 left that I haven't done, and that's from 2021. Because I haven't done any of AOC 2021 yet. But day 1s are usually extremely easy. So I think I might go to 2020 here, where I've done 3 days of warm-up, I guess, in some other year. So I think I'm going to do day 4 here. I haven't seen this yet. Yeah, so that's the one that I'm going to do. And let's find out if my auto downloader works. So here's my Twitch bot running. Let me switch to the other tmux session. So I have a script here called new day. And I think there's no -h, but if you run it without arguments, it tells you how to run it. So what did I say, 2020? 2020 day 4. 2020, and there's no 04, it's just 4 because that's the way that AOC URLs are formatted, I think. So it says it worked. And we have something there. Now, why do I not have the first 3 days? I definitely did them. I guess I didn't commit. Let me check my repo. I just didn't commit those. Maybe I did it in Fortran? Because I did one of these in Fortran. I think 2022 was the first year that I did Advent of Code. And I did my first year in Fortran. And I guess it was right after that finished, I started developing Syntran over the tail end of winter break. And then in 2023, I think I started doing Advent of Code in Syntran. In 2024, also Syntran. And then I went back and I did a bunch of the old Advent of Codes this year, like 8 or 9 months ago. I got partway through 2019, and then we got this fuel ore problem, which I looked at earlier today to remember where I got stuck. And after doing like about 5 years of advent of code problems in a couple months. I was like, I'm so tired of this. These all feel so formulaic. I feel like I've done this problem before, but with just slightly different buzzwords or keywords. And I was done after 2 months of blowing through 5 years of advent of code problems. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm not doing this one. So I definitely don't want to do this one as a warm up because it's kind of hard. You have to like build up a tree of how you get from ore to fuel, or how you get from fuel to ore. I don't know. And you get like these intermediary molecules or whatever they call it. So you have to build up a tree of how you get through there. And yeah, I don't want to deal with trees and maps, hash maps. That's too much. And then figure out how to optimally get from some amount of ore to one fuel. I don't care. So yeah, we're going to do 2024 day 4. I think that should be a decent problem. Like, did this auto downloader actually work? I have the directory, and allegedly there is input there. Does it have contents? No. Yeah, so I need to refresh my cookies. I don't remember how to do that. I think I have a script that I think it says so in my new day script, how to get cookies. Yeah, I use this Firefox add-in. I think like if you know anything about networks, you don't need an add-in to get cookies, but I don't know anything about network stuff or web development stuff. So I'm just going to use this add-in in Firefox on my other monitor because I don't want you to see everything in my Firefox list of tabs and history. Yeah, so I can't even remember how to use this extension. So I think I have to log in to Advent of Code manually, first of all. Advent of Code, which I've already done in Chrome, obviously. But I have this here. Maybe this one works. What if I just copy? Copy might be convenient. So copy, and then I have to edit my cookies file, which is in my home directory. So copy, those look like some cookies. I should probably not show this on stream. I don't really know. I guess you can all log into my account now. I have zero understanding of any of this stuff. So we got some extra new lines there. Is this legit? Keyboard messes me up because my personal laptop has the control key on the left and then the function key just to the right. My work laptop has the control and function keys swapped. So I get this muscle memory of where the control key is, and then I forget how to do it. So I wanted to do Control R, and there we go. I actually hit the control key that time. So I want to run new day with those arguments again. And then I want to see, okay, I got my input. There's a lot of blank lines. Sometimes they have that. A lot of the times Advent of Code has a blank line as a delimiter, so that's not necessarily anything to be concerned about. But let's go ahead and review that. By the way, sorry if I miss any chats, which I haven't so far, but it's off on my other monitor. I'm just going to forget to look at it, or I'm going to get like some other window covering it up and then forget about it. So sorry in advance. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at the input. Okay, yeah, so we do have blank lines as delimiters, but let me double check my input. So EYR, HCL, HGT. Let me vim that. EYR, those seem correct. And then 1,000 lines later, ECL, OTH. I'm just being extra paranoid about did I download all the input. PID 812. So that seems legit. Let me close that, and now let's start working in a different tab. 2020. Okay, that's my project structure. I wanted to make sure I didn't have like a utils.syntran script in here. I'm going to be doing this in Syntran again. So today for this warm-up, I'm going to be doing Syntran. And then come December, I'm going to be doing, or attempting, most of Adventicode in Syntran, probably. I said it last year, if I get tired of it, or if the problems get too hard, I might just give up. Last year I ended up getting all 50 stars. I had to cheat a couple days and look at other people's code on the Reddit to figure out how to solve 2 or 3 problems. So it's pretty much guaranteed I'm not going to figure out everything myself this year, but who knows how many stars I'm going to get. Not sure if I'll keep up with the streaming either. I might stream a couple days and get tired of it and then start doing all of these offline. We'll see. Okay, so my utils.syntran script is all the way out here. It's at the top level. And I thought I had like a utils 2024 or utils 2023. That might be in my Syntran unit testing repo. So if I look at Syntran, source, test source, AOC. Yeah, here I had 2 different versions because I need all of these to run. And there were enough compatibility breaks that I didn't want to port all of my solutions. So I just copied this to a different utils implementation without like return statements or any of the new features that I added in, not 2025. Yeah, what year was this from? I don't know why I named it 2024 because I think I did AOC 2023. Yeah, I clearly did that. Oh, so maybe this is the old one. This is the old one and this is the new one. Yeah, but that's not the way that things are structured here. And that's okay. So we have day 4. I have a little template main function. When I run the new day script, it copies this template, which is like 60 lines long. And the template, it just has a main function, which calls part 1 and a commented out part 2. And all part 1 does is it opens your input file, which is either the test input or the real input, and then it prints each line of that. So the first thing I want to do is get my test input because the auto downloader downloads the real input, but I don't know how to download the test input because it's not like formatted as a standalone file that you can just download. And that's right here. I think Bad Cop had like some vibe coded stuff, or not even vibe coded, just completely AI driven stuff that detected this block and saved that as the test input. So that's pretty cool, but I'm not going to bother automating that step. I'm not competitive at this. I'm not going to get on the leaderboard, so it doesn't matter if I save myself 20 seconds of not manually saving the test input. So there it is. Got an extra new line there. So that's what it should look like. Why does my chat keep popping up to like the most recently used stack of windows? Because I'm trying to switch back and forth like this. There we go. That's how I want to alt tab between windows. So this is what it should look like. That's correct. Let's go back to the test input. And if I run Syntran, by the way, Syntran version 1.0.1 is out now. It's a very minor change from 1.0.0, but I wanted to make a release for that in case I ran into this weird nested function call bug, which is the only thing I did for .1. In case I ran into that, I don't want to have like some bug that's already been fixed on the develop branch and it's just not in the release. So This is the latest Syntran. And I just run it like... Do I want a CD? I think I want a CD. Syntran main.syntran, and that just echoes my test input file. So now I have to read the problem and figure out what the hell we're doing today. Something about passports. All right. I hope there's not too much background noise. I just realized that I have my work desktop running, so you might hear those fans in the background. There's a little bit of noise. I don't know if it's audible though. Hopefully it's not too bad. So these are their passport fields. I want to make sure it's not talking about the North Pole credentials, because that's not the passport. Batch files. Key value. Are they? Yeah, they're not always in the same order. That's not really a problem. Like this says ECL first, and this is IYR first. Hey, M. DeFury. Greetings. How's it going? Yeah, pretty good. This is just, I haven't streamed in probably like 11 months, so I wanted to make sure I remembered how to stream and then do a little bit of warm up for Advent of Code here. Glad to hear you're doing fine. And did I say welcome to the stream? If not, welcome to the stream. So this is one passport, and then this is the second passport, and then this is the third passport. So some of them are 2 lines, some of them are 4 lines. That can vary. And this has all 8 fields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, Vision for All. I remember you. I don't think I've seen M. DeFury before, but welcome back to the stream, Vision. This is missing HGT. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that only has 7 fields. This year we only have 12 quiz for Advent of Code. Didn't read about that yet. We should go to events. Oh. Wow, that's weird. I looked at this page briefly, but I think I only read this line. So yeah, I did not notice that. I wonder if it's going to be the first 12 days, or if it's going to be every other day or something. Yeah, that's weird. Well, we've had like 10 years of it, so who is the creator? Was Eric Wassel, or Eric W. something? Maybe he's just getting tired of it, or he doesn't have help. Oh, there is an explanation. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a link. Ton of his free time. Yeah. Too much time, getting tired of it. Yeah. That's more or less what I guessed. That's fine. We've had a good run. Start on December 1st. every day. Okay, so it's the first 12 days. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that heads up. Okay, so some of these are North Pole credentials, and those are like a passport, except they're missing this field. They have all of the other 7 fields. Not a passport. Okay, so we're going to ignore missing CID fields and treat that as a valid passport. So for part 1 at least, we basically just don't care about CID. We only need to look for the other 7 fields. And we don't have to get the value, we just have to look for the keys, I think. 2 valid passports, so we just have to count the valid passports. We don't have to save the keys. Okay, so part 1 doesn't seem too bad. You never know what the twist is going to be in part 2. Maybe that will be significantly more difficult. I'm only on day 4 here, so it probably won't be that hard. Okay, so what are these fields? Let's copy that. So I don't really need to save any of these. Yeah, I don't think I need to save any of these. I can just iterate through the file and work one line or one string at a time. So let's paste in these fields. These are the 8 or 7 that we're looking for. We only care about the first 7. Right, so if we find all 7 of these before a blank line, then we have a valid passport. So, trying to think of, do I want to do this with like 7 lines of code copied and pasted, or do I want to do it the dry way? I think I have to do it the dry way. This is only a warm-up, but I don't want to be that lazy. Let's have like a fields array. Do they call it fields? Is this a good variable name? Fields. Yes, I didn't just make that up. That's in the prompt. So we're going to have BYR, IYR, EYR, HGT, HCL, ECL, and PID. Is that 7, 5, 6, 7? I think those are all 7 that we care about. We don't care about this one, so I'm just leaving that out entirely. So those are my fields. This is a constant. Syntran doesn't have constants, but I'm just using this convention of uppercase variables. Don't touch them. They should be immutable, but there's nothing to enforce the immutability. And then we're going to have the number of fields is it size? I think it's size fields. Is that valid Syntran? I kind of forget how to write Syntran. I haven't done this either in 8 or 9 months. Okay, yeah, so we need the rank, or no, the dimension. So size 0. This is a one-dimensional array, so there's doesn't really need to be an option for the dimension, but if you had a matrix or a rank 3 array, this is going to be the size in that given dimension, whether it's the number of rows or the number of columns or the number of whatever you have in higher rank arrays. So I still need that argument. I think I have that on my to-do list to let size work. If you omit this, and then if you have a higher rank array, it's just like the product of all the sizes, or like the total number of elements. So that should be valid syntran. Okay. And then we're going to have a logical thing. I need to do this outside of the loop because we're not going to reset these on every line. We're only going to reset them when we get to a blank line that delimits in between these two passports. So we don't want to reset it on the second line. We only want to reset it on completely blank lines. So that's not every iteration of this loop, because this loop iterates through lines in the input file. You could like load the whole file as one string and then split them by double new lines. That might be a cleaner way to do this. But right now that seems like that would be a little more work. So we're going to have a has fields be false, and then there are n fields of those. Let me just print that out, more of a demo to my viewers here to show what the hell I'm programming. It's going to be false 7 times. And we have 7 falses in an array. So this is like Rust syntax. You have the value and then a semicolon and then the number of those values. So the syntran syntax, I think it's the same as Rust for this case. Now, what are we going to do? So if we get to a blank line, if string equals blank line, then we're going to reset has fields to all false. Because we want to set like ECL to true and PID to true. And then when we get here, we want to reset all of that stuff to false so that we start processing the second passport. So that should reset it. And I want to just confirm that, is this actually a blank string? There's not like a single space or something on those lines that look blank. Resetting. So we should reset here and there, and that's it. Yep, so that seems correct. And then you want to be careful about off by 1 errors at the end of the file. You also want to make sure you process the last passport. I think I might just work around that and update my count on every line instead of only on the blank lines. So we're going to do something like if all has fields, then sum plus equals 1. And I think I initialized this to 0. I already had that in the template. So that part should be okay, but I have to set has fields to true depending on which keys are present. So now we have to split the line by spaces. Yeah, split the line by spaces, because some of these keys could have a value which happens to be a key. I don't know if, probably happens in the real input, maybe not in the test input, but this could be like IYR:ECL. And then if you see ECL as a value but not a key, that doesn't actually count. Like you don't necessarily have the ECL key there. So you want to be careful about that. Don't just split by semicolon right now. You want to distinguish between keys and values. So before that, I want to split by spaces as a delimiter. We can just continue here, jump to the next. Yeah, that should work. Because we're going to update the sum, but I'm going to do this on the non-blank lines as well. So we're going to have key vals. It's going to be the keys and the values. It's going to split. Is it split underscore? it's split underscore. That's what I have in my utils. So split the string with a space as the delimiter. And then let's just demo what is in that. So it's going to be an array, and for the first line, that array is going to be, this is the first element, this is the second element, third and fourth elements. That didn't work. I need let. You have to declare variables with let. Unlike Python, you can just make typos, and Python will pretend that that was the correct variable name that you meant to type. That seems like too much. Is this continue? Something funny happened. Oh, it never reads the next. We could just not continue, but let's save some work. There we go. So for the first line, this is the array that I just described. That's what I expect. So it's good to confirm that that worked. And then we're going to iterate through those and now split with a semicolon and then look at the first element of each of those arrays. I hate this. I wish Alacrity wasn't so loud. There's some way to configure this, but to look up how to do that on this computer, and I don't feel like doing it right now. I just wish it wasn't so annoyingly loud and verbose by default. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna split by semicolons. So I think I can iterate like this. So for key val in key vals, let me just make sure this is a valid way to loop in Syntran. I think this works now. I might have added this somewhat recently. No, I think this has always been there. Or not. Yeah, I think at some point I was not able to iterate over an actual array. I was only able to iterate over things that looked like an array literal. So I could do like for I in 0 to 10. And you had to have the brackets here, I believe. You still do if you're going to loop like this. This is still valid. So array literals worked for loops, but like array variables didn't work at some point. But I'm pretty sure this is a feature now. So let me confirm that. Let's look at this one. So we iterate through that loop 3 times through all 3 elements in this array. That seems to make sense. And now we're going to split by colons. I need a better variable name. Let kv equals split key val by colon. And then the key is going to be the first part of kv, and the value is going to be the second part of kv. For part 1, we don't care about the value. We just want to see if all 7 of the important keys are present. So let key equal kv 0. That's going to be the first element of kv. And then maybe I should use an actual hash map. Or should I just use a loop? Like I've already set it up as not a hash map. So I think it should be a hash map. I don't want to write a loop to iterate over these and check if it matches the key that I have. Yeah, so let's include the dictionary. The dictionary is going to be my hash map. This is just part of my Advent code repo. So that's where my hash maps are implemented. And then has fields is not going to be a Boolean array, it's going to be a dictionary. New dict I64. I think that's the syntax. And then when we reset it, that's not the right syntax to reset a hash map, so that doesn't work, but the line above it worked. So this line is good. Let's update that. Just reset it to a new dictionary again, instead of resetting all of the elements in the array to false. So I don't have a set. A set would be the proper data structure for this, but you can use a hash map as a set by just setting the hash map value to some sentinel value. So I'm going to set the key to 1 in my hash map. So has fields, except, it doesn't have nice object-oriented syntax. So we're going to set dict I64, pass by reference the dict, or the hash map, whatever you want to call this thing. And then the key is the key. And then we're just going to set some sentinel value. So 1, and it has to be I64. Okay, I64. I couldn't remember if there was an I there or not. I think that should work. Yeah, but this doesn't work anymore. So if size keys dict 64, this function just returns an array of all of the keys in your hash map. So that should work. That should run. Wrong. Yeah, size has an extra argument. I already explained that before. I just made the same mistake again. Okay, so we got 2 valid passports in part 1. I think that was correct for the test input. 2. And I wanted to demo something here. So if you don't have the correct integer type here, if you just use a default 32-bit integer, I don't think this works. Yeah, because if you have a function that expects an I64, you have to pass I64. I think C is not like this, or at least not with literals. Like you can just pass a 32-bit literal to a function that expects 64 bits. Yeah, thanks, Vision. Got part 1, I think. I have to test it on the real input. Syntran is picky about literal types, so you have to have a 64-bit literal there. So that runs, I think, still. And then let's do the real input by just uncommenting this line. That seems reasonable. 167. Oh. I probably misread it. Too low. Oh, 7 or 8. Yeah. So if it should be greater than or equal to 7. What if you get things... What if, like, you don't have a valid key here? What if you get something that's just not in the set of 8 keys? I haven't really programmed for that case, but then I should get an answer that's too high instead of too low. So I think I'm just going to assume that this is safe. Yeah, greater than or equal. That should fix my too low problem. I don't need all this logging, but it runs fast enough. How fast does that run? Under 2 seconds. I should probably get rid of the logging. No. What did I just paste? How did I just copy the last line? Oh man, look before you hit enter. 289. 289. That's what I meant to paste. Now I have to wait 38 seconds. I need a refill, so I'll be back probably within 30 seconds. All right, we're back. It probably hasn't even been 38 seconds left. I'm probably still cooling down. Yep, 4 more seconds. That's pretty good. I didn't waste too much time. I think we're safe now. Still wrong. Okay, so it's probably the other thing that I said. We probably have invalid fields. So maybe there is some trick in the file. Yeah, I think we have other keys besides these 7, so I'm counting too many. So I need to verify that this is a real key. Should be easy enough to do that. You could do that with another hash map. I think I'm just going to use this array. And I can use the any function to quickly iterate through this. So if we get an invalid key, I'm just going to skip this line. So if not any key equals fields, continue, and then we'll skip this line. Hopefully it's less than 289. Not, okay, we don't have bang in Syntran. It's literally not. Yeah. So that was a problem. Probably going to have to cool down again here. Wow, I am doing like surprisingly bad for a day 4 here. And it's not even going to tell me if it's too high or too low at this point. Do I still get the test input correct? It should still be 2 with these new changes that I made. Okay, that's still 2. Is there like some funny character like this that's messing me up? I don't know. Can you have like another colon after the first colon? That would be annoying. I don't think that should matter though. Yeah, I don't think extra colons should matter. For input. Like, where am I getting messed up? Maybe I'm counting the blank lines wrong. 240. I don't want to have to step through every one of these manually. That's too many. Oh, I'm not counting CID, or what's the thing called? Why did I do 7 or 8, or greater than or equal to 7? Because I don't have CID at all. I think this should be okay. For part 1, we just don't care about CID at all. So if it's there, we shouldn't have to do anything special for it. So if you hit a CID, it skips this. But then because we only care about 7 or 8. I mean, now that I've included this, I should be able to do equals equals right there. And it should still be 240. I think this is running the test input. I need like command line argument parsing so that I can switch part 1 and part 2 here instead of commenting and uncommenting some line. Yeah, it's still 240, so that doesn't make a difference now. Equals equals, where was that? So greater than or equals, that should also be fine. Guess I have to reread the prompt. What if, just for fun, I try to do this without hash maps? Just to see if I get the same answer. Because I think I kind of forgot about this any and all built-in functions. That simplifies my life. I don't have to write a manual loop, and I don't really need hash maps either. So let me back up what I have right here. It's going to be main v0.syntran. And let's not use any dictionaries. Let's go back to this. No, like I think I still need a loop to set the correct element of this array. But let's try it just to see if we get the same answer. So that should be fine. So this basically has a loop built into it. Maybe you can eliminate the test of CID so the count is, yeah, since I have this, I can just make this equals equals. So I should be fine with or without CID. So now I need a loop for I in 0 and fields. If fields I equals key has fields I equals true. And then we should be able to do this. Will this be, I think it should be the same as what I just programmed. I think we're still going to get 240. Still 240. Okay, I think I might see what the problem is. Or a potential problem, at least. I'm incrementing this. This loop does every line. So I'm incrementing this sum, potentially, if we have all the fields on every line. What if we have, imagine that I had all 7 passport fields on like the first, yeah, this is definitely possible. If we have CID on the last line, and it's like the only thing on the last line, probably, yeah, it happens, oh, no, there's, so imagine that it was laid out like this. There's probably something like this in the file. I'm going to increment my sum on this line, and then I'm going to increment my sum again on this line. So that's not logically correct. Let's undo those changes. So I only want to increment this on these blank reset lines, but then I have to do it again at the end of the file because there's not a new line, there's not an extra blank line at the end of the file. I could just add it here, and then I don't have to change my code. Yeah, maybe I'll do that, because I don't want to copy and paste stuff in the code. It's easier to change the input than it is to change my code. So don't do this here. Do this inside the reset block. Let's indent that. And then it should be less than 240 now. It's 0. That's not right. Oh, because I already reset has fields, so I have to do this before the other stuff in this block. So it should be between 0 and 240. Okay, 235. That's reasonable. Yeah, a key present 2 or more times. I think my code would be okay with that. Maybe that should be an invalid passport. I don't think the input really describes whether or not that should count. Okay, finally. That took a little longer than it should have, but that's okay. That's why I do a warm-up. Let's check out part 2. Thanks, Vision. Yeah, so now maybe we care if there's double keys or duplicate keys. Oh, now we care about the values. It's going to take so much code for all these cases. This is just annoying. I'm okay with only having 12 problems this year because I see stuff like this and it's not even a puzzle. It's just writing a bunch of code for each of these 7 cases. Some of them are the same. These 2 are both 4 digits, so, and this one too. So you could share some of this code, but it's a lot, and it's not particularly fun, in my opinion. Maybe the first year I saw this was fun, but yeah, after 10 years of Advent of Code, which I've only been doing this for like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, and it's getting a little old. So 4 digits for, we have like special bounds. We have like sub cases for this one. Do we care? Okay, we can still ignore CID. That's nice. Always invariably unpredictable. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's like a fun twist. Sometimes it's really challenging and I can't figure it out, or I can barely figure it out. This one, it's just tedious. That's kind of what you expect for day 4. You shouldn't expect anything difficult, just in this case, we have to write a lot of code. And now we have different test input. So they don't tell you for the part 1 input how many of these are valid for part 2. They just don't tell you. I think, what's the PID range? Maybe they're all invalid. Okay, 9-digit number. No thanks. So I think I'm going to have, whatever code I come up with, I'm going to have to test it against this and this. So I think I want to write the code first and then test those inputs. So, part 2. What was my... I'm just thinking if this could have worked with a hash map. My problem was moving this chunk of code into this block. That should have worked with a hash map. I was just debugging the wrong thing. But I think I'm just going to keep that code for part 2. So we're going to copy and paste part 1 to part 2. And then we have to call this. Let's label the output. So uncomment this to call part 2. Let's go back to the test input. Because that runs a little bit faster. And now we have a part 2 printout, but it's just part 1 again. So now I have to implement that. Part 2. Okay. We can keep a lot of this code. I'm just going to... I think the hash map implementation was better, but I'm just going to keep what we have. So we're going to go with the array and like the extra weird loop, this weird loop. You don't need this loop if you have a hash map, and that's why a hash map is better. But I'm not going to make extra work for myself. I'm just going to do it the loopy way. So in addition to has fields, we're going to have is valid, default to true, and if we find something that breaks the rules of whatever the schema is, we're going to set this to false and then not increment the sum. So if has fields and is valid, increment the sum, and then when we reset has fields, we're going to reset is valid to true. And then we have to validate the value now. So val is going to be kv1. It's going to be the second part of this kv thing where we split by the colon. And now we're going to have like an if statement with 7 different cases and a couple subcases in one of the blocks. Which one? This one has the subcase because we have a unit system. I guess you got to do something for day 4. Like it's getting to be non-trivial, but you got to throw in something with a unit system. Okay, so what are my fields again? I think we still don't care about CID. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to delete that part. Or part 2. I want to copy and paste these again because these are going to be like the conditions of my if and else if statements. So let's just... How do you delete a block like this in Vim? Because like I can't move to year because I'm not on that line. And if I move down here, I'm not handling the first 2 lines. Like, is there a good way to do this without a macro or something? I'm just going to capital D and repeat. There's got to be a better way to do that in Vim. I just don't know what it is right now. I've probably looked it up before, actually. Most of these are going to be else ifs. Key equals quote, and then close the quote. Could have just block edited there. Didn't need to repeat every line. And the first one is going to be if, not else if. So let's... All right, because some of these are going to have subcases, and I want like the extra braces for the block. And though I might not need all of these braces. I just want to copy and paste this directly into my code. There we go. Still don't care about CID. So PID is there. I should have indented these one more time. Is there like a shortcut for, yeah, it's just right arrow key or greater than. I never use that shortcut. I always go like insert column and then tab, but there are easier ways to indent and unindent. ECL, paste that. I want each of these comments to be in the appropriate block. So this one gets 3 because this is the subcase. EYR. I could probably be moving more efficiently in Vim than like all this J and K. All right, there we go. So these ones, I don't actually have to see. These conditions are redundant because if it's between 1920 and 2002, like inclusively or whatever this bound condition is, it's guaranteed to be 4 digits. So the 4 digits part here is redundant. Now for the PID, this might have leading zeros. So this one's, I'm going to have to try to parse it as a number and confirm that the string has 9 characters. Because if you parse it as a number and it has leading zeros, you're not going to be able to tell that there were leading zeros there. But for this, that is not the case. We just have a redundant 4 digits condition. And because neither of these numbers start with 0, nothing in this range starts with a 0, this condition is entirely redundant. So we could just parse the value as a number and then just check if it's within the range. PID is going to be like a little bit more involved than these first couple things. So we're going to parse this as an integer. And I think that function is called parse I32. Val. So val is a string. You can't tell, at least not easily. Maybe this is a downside to type-inferred languages. But val comes from a split. Split returns, I just know that this is a string. Somebody else reading this, they can't really tell that this is a string. And there's no IDE to just let you hover over this and see that it's a string. So maybe this is a poor design choice in Syntran, but this is just how it is. So that's a string, and then when I parse, this is going to be an I32. And then we can check if it's in this range. So if ival is less than 1920, let's do these as one-liners, and let's add parentheses for clarity, even though parentheses aren't required in if conditions. My cat wants some food. Hey, Callie. She's hungry. Want to say hi to Twitch? She's just hungry. Want to say hi? Where's Callie? Sniff the microphone. I'll get you a treat in a couple minutes, all right? Maybe I should just give her a treat now because all these conditions are going to take a minute. Is valid, is false. And then if it's greater than 2002, at least 1920, and at most. So I think greater than is correct. It's not greater than or equals. So these are pretty similar, except the numbers are different. 2010 and 2020. I'm just tab completing to make sure that I get the number correct. Again, the 4 digits is redundant here. (2020) and 20 is just 2030. I don't need to tab complete that. All right, this is the annoying one. I think I'm gonna give my cat a treat, so give me like 1 minute. All right, we're back. By the way, I forgot that I have this BRB. Is it .sh? Is there no? Yeah, there's no .sh. I forgot that I have this BRB screen, but I was only gone for like 30 seconds in each of my 2 breaks. So I think it's okay that I forgot to run that. All right. What do these even look like? Is it just like number CM with no spaces? I think so, because a space like delimits. Yeah, so there are no spaces. This is a pain, man, because I have to parse. Until I find something that's not a number, and then that's just implicitly the delimiter. Or no, because I want to be really careful to not handle invalid units and count that as not valid. I was thinking I could just like split this with I as a delimiter and split it with C as a delimiter and then get the number out that way, but it feels dangerous. Like I might mess something up and count something that shouldn't be valid as valid. What is HCl? Hexadecimal. Oh man, these are so annoying. The first 3 were easy, and now they're getting annoying. So they're all just jammed together. Let me just break out of execution here as a debugging technique. So do we have heights in the test input? Okay, we have a height. So let me see if I can parse this. So we're going to have a number as a string. It's going to start out as an empty string. No, I don't need to do that. At least I don't think. Okay, I'm pretty sure this loop syntax is relatively new. I might have had it last year. Like, I didn't do a lot in Syntran. I did do a lot in Syntran this year since my last Advent of Code. Like, I released 1.0 this year. So I don't know if this loop syntax was in here. You can iterate through the characters in a string without an extra index. But actually, I do need the index. Either that or I need to like append onto a string that I'm building. So you could do for C in val, like you could iterate through the characters in this value string, but I do need the index because when I get to a non-number, I want to know what index I'm at and then slice it up to that index, and that's my number, and then everything else is the unit. So for I in len val, I think that's how you get the length of a string in Syntran. So if we have a non-number, if not is, do I have utils open? Oh, I think it's is digit. Okay, I have an is digit function. Val I. Then this is so annoying. So the unit is value from I to the end. Can I don't know if I can slice like that. Like I can't remember what syntax and what features exist or don't exist in Syntran. So I kind of just, even though I wrote the language myself, I can't remember. So I just have to try it and see if it works. Oh, yeah. Well, I need a lower bound of the range. Do I have to wrap it in brackets? I said I did have to earlier. Yeah, so it still thinks that's not an array, so you need the square brackets here. That's why, like for C in, this is a much nicer way to loop, but I do need the index, so I have to do it this way. 2:22 a.m. Wow, that's pretty late. Have a good night. Thanks for joining. All right, yep, I cannot slice like that. Here's the thing, it should be 2 characters, but what if we have an invalid unit? It might be 3 characters, and then I shouldn't count it. So let's save that as a variable, and then that's how you go to the end of a string. What's wrong with that? Forgot a semicolon. Okay, CM. Why? Okay, but then we should break and not do this. Is it break? Okay, so now we just have CM and not an extra M by itself. Now we also have to parse out the number. Number is going to be val 0 through I. Yeah, I think that's correct. And this is a string. So I still have to parse the number out of that number string and then check if it's within the correct range, which depends on the unit type. And if you get an invalid unit, that should also be invalid. So I don't know if that exists in the input, but I want to handle it anyway. Okay, so we got 183. We got all of the characters, not just 18 or just 1. So that part works. And then, yeah, they can just be local variables. I thought maybe they would have to be out here in this block, but this is fine. Can I just get rid of that exit? I feel like I'm going to forget that exit is there. Okay, so let's work with this one. So if unit equals CM, else if unit equals inch, excuse me, else this is going to be an invalid unit. And then for these cases, we have to check if they're within the given range, which is right there. I think I need braces here. So if it's centimeters, it's between 150 and 193. I want to parse the number out of here. I think because it's not the whole val, it's just num. So let inum equal parse num. Num is a string, again, just like with a value. Num is a string, and inum is an integer, 32 bits. Now, if inum less than, for centimeters, 150, and if it's greater than 193, then for inches, it's 59 and 76. I wonder, are these just the converted values of these? Or do we have like actually different rules up to some rounding error, different rules for different unit systems? Let's see it just for fun. 59 inches, is that 150 centimeters? Yeah. 76, is that 193? Yeah, okay. That's reassuring, I guess. We don't have some completely insane passport system with different height rules for different unit systems. Yeah, this is fine. So for inches, it's 59 and 76. All right. That's the height rule, I think. I still have no idea if any of this code is correct. Now we have to, what's next? Eye color, hair color. This one, I think height is the worst one. The rest of these aren't so bad, but they're still more annoying than the first three keys. Not equal hash. Let me put parentheses here for readability. That's invalid. And then iterate. So we're going to have 7 characters total. So let's just check that it's 7. If len val not equal 7, invalid. And then we have to check that all of this stuff is hexadecimal. Can I do that by iterating, or can I just try what's in my utils? Do I have like a parse hex? If something, I have hex cares, but I'll still have to, okay, yeah, I have a parse function. But what happens if it fails? I think it might just be undefined behavior. I don't know. About like is all, is hex. What else am I doing with hex? I think I have to iterate. So for now I can iterate by characters. So for C, in val, I can just do 1 through 7, right? Because I've already confirmed the length is this. If it's shorter, I should probably continue so that I don't segfault and do a buffer overflow by reading character 7 when character 7 or character 6 doesn't exist. Yeah, but you don't want to start at 0 because then you need special logic that allows a hash, but only if it's in position 0, because you might have a hash in position 2 or later, and then it's invalid. But that would be sort of complicated logic. So let's just only iterate through these characters. And then if not is, didn't I scan? Do I have to scan? If scan hexcare's character, scan hexcare's character. I think if scan doesn't find this, it returns a -1. Yeah, if it's not found, it returns a -1. So if scan returns a -1, then it's invalid. Hear sirens outside. It's just a football game in town. Probably drunk hooligans out. Who knows? I hope that's correct. Again, I have no idea if any of this code is correct or not. So I've been writing this code for like, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes, but it took me like about a little over 45 minutes. I didn't start the stream at 7. I started the stream just after 7. So I've been working on part 2 here for like another 45 minutes almost. All right, this one doesn't seem too bad. So eye colors are these things. Let's just have one static array of strings, which is initialized up here. Let eye colors then let's close those strings. I want to go E to jump to the end. E, 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 E. All right, no trailing comma, but a trailing semicolon. Okay. So those are my eye colors. ECL. Okay, and now if not any val equals eye colors is valid as false. I'm not going to bother with extra parentheses there because at least there's a parenthesis here. And then this one, it's like suspiciously similar to the first 3 cases, but here the number of digits criteria is not redundant. So this is different than the first 3 cases, even though it looks similar. So we're going to want to check the length and then parse a number out of it and check that everything is a number. Maybe I'll do it more like this. Digit. So I have an isDigit function, but this works on one character. Even though the type of this is string, this expects a single character string because there's no differentiation between characters and strings in Syntran. Again, probably an anti-pattern. Poor design choice. But strings are kind of weird in Fortran. So it was very easy to make an interpreted language implemented in Fortran where strings are also handled in a funny way. Because Fortran has character arrays and strings as 2 different types. I guess so does C++ and maybe C. Yeah, you could have an array of characters not being a string in those languages as well. But Fortran makes it like especially easy to fall down mixing up those types. So I have like isDigit, but I don't have like an isAllDigits for a whole string. So I think I'm gonna have to scan the whole thing like this, like I did for hex characters. So len, this should be 9. Whoa. Else, I hope I don't need braces there. Yeah, so you don't want to have a buffer overflow if the length is shorter than expected. Now I have to iterate. I can just do all the characters. I don't have this leading hash there. So that's nice at least. If scan, I think I have digit chars, which is just 0 through 9. All right, I think that's everything. Again, no clue if any of this is correct. And they don't even, okay, well, the code does not even parse. So that's something. Just need a double equals here. What did I just do? What the hell is that? How did I jump to a file that, like, I don't even have this open. I don't know how I did that. I don't know what keys I bumped. I was trying to do 182, but I hit like a tilde, or no, I hit a, yeah, backtick instead. So that should be double equals. That parses. And now I need to test this code on test 2. We're going to have like 2 additional tests. So one of these, they should all be valid, and the other one, they should all be invalid. So test 2 is going to be that first block that they gave us for part 2. Not this one. I don't care about this one, actually. I want to test this one. Maybe if I get it wrong, I'm going to have to step through these, but for now, I'm going to skip it. So these should all be invalid. Okay, and then let's do test 3. And do the next one. These should all be valid. So there should be 4 valid ones here and 0 valid ones for the last one. Those look good. I don't think I got any extra new lines from pasting into Alacrity, which is a bug that apparently happens. I don't know if it's an Alacrity bug or a Windows bug or a Tmux bug or what, but sometimes I get extra new lines. I think you saw that earlier in this video. So first one should be 0 valid passports. I think I put them in the wrong directory. Yeah, I just put them in the wrong directory. Okay, 0 valid passports, that's good. And then if we do the next one, it should be 4. Are there 4 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be 4. Here are some valid pass. Do they have all 7 fields? I guess. So there should be 4 valid if my code is correct. Ah, I messed one up. So which one is invalid? Let's print an extra new line so this is easier to read. We don't just have a wall of text. Well, first of all, I'm noticing, yes, I have to add, it might just be this. I have to add my extra new line at the end because that's the way I implemented my code. Okay, my code is correct. I just needed the extra new line at the end of the file. Or at least it's correct for the test case. I don't know if I'm going to get it right for the real input. I only had that one bug in part 1, which is the bug that I just ran into again. So maybe it's this easy. It should be like under, what did I get, 235 for part 1? It should be less than that. Okay, so part 1 was 235, and we got less than that because only a subset of the part 1 validities are valid for part 2. So that's reasonable. Let's see if it's correct. Or is it reasonable but incorrect? No. What now? What now? Too high. I have a feeling that it's either this one or this one with which I messed up with the digit and hex digit scanning. Because even though this took a lot of code, I feel like it was fairly straightforward, as long as I got the invalid unit. So if you have another unit, it's not valid. What about the brackets? Do I need braces here? Oh, no, it's not else. It should not be else. And I do need brackets. So if it's not 7, it's invalid and we should continue. It's not else, it's part of the same block. So I did it here and then I made the same mistake here. So that's what I wanted. And then same mistake here, actually. So it was one of the two cases that I just mentioned, but the scanning logic might be okay. And what was this? This was too high, so it should be less than 195. No, it's still 195. Did I save? Damn. About just less than 0. I don't think it's going to make a difference. But this is a Hail Mary. I want it to be an easy fix. That's the first thing I thought of. Well, it's not that. Like, I got it for the test input. What is it? I don't want to step through 195 and manually verify that they're correct. Let's look at the first couple at least. Let's only look at the valid ones. So this is 4,000 lines in where we find the first valid one. I don't really need that line in the log. Let's put it up here. Because this just only tells me is valid. You might have all of the fields that exist are valid, but it might not have all of them. Right? Is that the correct? I would get an answer that's too low if I think if I did that the other way. Okay, so that it happened to be the same. It happened to be valid and have at least 7 fields. Oh, well, it's 4,000 lines in, but this is the start of part 2, apparently. Height, 186, birth year, year, and this is split across 2 lines, or 3 lines. EYR. Are my numbers correct? Like, did I copy all of these into the correct places? Or the allowed ranges for these things? HCL, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the right number of characters. PID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. HZL. Hazel? That was one of the things. Sorry for bumping the mic. HZL. That's one of the eye colors. Exactly one of. That all seems okay. I don't want to have to step through 195 of these. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me check those ranges after I step through this one. Brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 164. That seems legit. Let me double check the ranges. Like they're right here. 1920. BYR 1920 2002. So like, is there one that doesn't say at most, but like not greater than? So it's like greater than or equal instead of just greater than. That could be. At least 2010. So those are the same at least. 2010, 2020. At least 2020 and at most 2030. At least, at most, at least, at most. They're not tricking you with that, at least not yet. 150 for centimeters, 150 and 193. And then for inches, 59 and 76. I think that's okay. Else, if you get the wrong unit, it's invalid no matter what. Hair color. I like how the hair colors is a hex triplet, RGB triplet, but the eye color is just like an enumeration. Like what if you have 2 strands of hair that are different colors? Do they just average them? Exactly one of. Eye colors. AMB, BLU, BRN, GRY. Hey, at least you don't have gray with an E versus gray with an A. At least we don't need special logic for that. GRN, HZL, OTH. And I don't have like any weird trailing characters or anything. Exactly one of. If not any. I think that logic is correct. 9-digit number. Huh. That all seems okay. I guess I have to keep stepping through. Like, my answer is too high. So apparently there's something where I thought it was valid, but it's not valid. So I just want to look at, I should not have jumped like that. I think I only did 2, so now we should be on the 3rd one. EYR, IYR, BYR, 6. Are there like uppercase hexes? I don't think there should be any uppercase hex characters. I'm so tired of this. If I'm still working on this in 10 minutes, I'm just going to stop, I think. CID. We don't care about CID. So there's no schema that we have to validate there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters. HGT, 150 centimeters. All of these ones seem okay. If there's like one case out of these 195 that I'm messing up, it's impossible to debug. Or not impossible, but like it would take hours to verify it manually. And for all the test cases that they gave me, I got it correct. So it's something in here that I have to step through. Or reread the prompt or read through my code. Like I have to read something and think. And that's all I can do. Maybe I should reread the prompt. Still ignore CID. Good. I have these in the comments, so I'm sure that I've read all of that. Ignored, missing, or not. It's fine either way. All required fields are both present, so we still have to have at least 7. And then what about the thing that Vision for All said? What if you have one where it has duplicate keys and one is valid and the other isn't? I would count it as not valid. But I don't think the rules say anything about that. Valid, invalid. BYR. So it can't be above 2003. I think my logic is okay. Like you could do both of these checks on one line, but as long as I'm only switching from true to false, it should be fine as 2 separate lines. And it's just if, it's not else if, but it should be fine because of the way that numbers work. What if it's... Oh, what if it's not a number? I didn't verify that for the first 3. Like I did here. Do it for digits. Yeah, maybe I have to do that. But what? I don't know what this returns if you have invalid characters. I would assume it's like 0 or -1, which would be fine. Like it would be invalid either way. But maybe I need some extra validation. Yeah, just is digit. What did we get? We got 195. So is this going to change? Is it going to be anything less than 195? No. Maybe we need to check if the height... No, because this... Yeah, this automatically handles the height. What if you have an empty string and then just CM or MM? Does that exist? Input HGT. You don't have HGT inches. What about HGT CM? Doesn't exist. Now you have this with numbers in between. 0 through 9, any number of times. So my regex was fine until that. But you never have just an absence of numbers. You never have HGT colon CM or HGT colon IN. You always have numbers. So I don't need to handle that case specially. I don't know, man. I'll give it 5 more minutes, but I think I might have to call it. 7, 9. So checking. It's just parsing everything in the value. Now, where the fuck was I in my log? I have no idea. I validate like 4 or 5 probably. I don't know. Like what if I skip too many and then skip over the one that I'm getting wrong? This is impossible. I'm so tired. ECL. I'm blaming this advent of code problem. The problem isn't me. The problem is that this advent of code problem is annoying. I'm kidding, but it is annoying. There's something that I'm counting as valid, which is not valid. Where is it? Which one of these 195 cases? 242. There's some that don't increment the sum anyway, because you have less than 7 of the fields. What if it's just 194? Wild ass guess. What? There was exactly 1 out of 195 cases that I'm getting wrong, and I have no idea which one it is, but I just guessed that it was 1 less than the answer that I tried, and that happens to be right. So what the fuck is up with that? What? That is crazy. I'm glad I didn't waste time debugging all 195 of these cases. I've got to make a note of that. I don't care. It's late. I'm tired today. I did a long workout. So this is plenty of time that I've spent on this stream. I don't think I'm gonna bother figuring out what I did wrong. It was so close. It was off by 1. And like, which one of these 195 cases was it? I have no idea. I got all the test cases correct, but It's a needle in a haystack that I got wrong, and I'm not going to search for that needle. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm going to commit this and push it to GitHub. Let's add my main file, of course, and the test. I think that's okay. This is 2020, day 4. Both parts. First try. Not the first try at all for either part. Part 1 took way too long because of my extra line at the end of the file. Like, did I just count the last case twice for part 2 or something? I shouldn't have. No, we have a false and then a true, so I definitely didn't count this one twice. I don't know, man. Am I resetting all my variables in the correct places? Is valid equals... I reset it to true. And then when we reset has fields, I reset this. So that should be the correct place to reset it. I don't know, man. I don't know why I was off by 1. And I don't think I'm going to know, because we've got... How many Advent of Code stars do I have here? I have 374 out of 500 total stars. There are 10 years so far because 2025 hasn't started yet. So there are a total of 500. I've gotten more than half. I've gotten like 2/3 or 3/4. What is that? 374 out of 500. 374 out of 500. I've gotten like 3/4 of the stars, just barely shy of 3/4. So I still have, what's the difference there? 500 minus 374. I have 126 stars to go, and then 50 more stars. Well, not 50, 24, because there are only 12 days this year. I've got plenty of work cut out to me. I'm not going to go back to this day and figure out which one of the other 190 cases that I didn't step through with I was getting wrong. I can't even talk. I'm tired of talking. I'm tired in general. Yeah, I committed. Did I push? I already pushed. So let's check out this stuff on GitHub to confirm that. There's my commit 2 minutes ago. Here's my code. Yeah, not using dictionary, although I should have used the dictionary because I had a different problem in a different place unrelated to the dictionary. So there's part 1. Here's part 2. I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. All right, that's that. My cat wants some food. It's a little past dinner time for her. I feed her later than usual on the weekends anyway, so that she doesn't in turn wake me up early in the morning begging for breakfast. So it's not really late for dinner time yet, but she's getting hungry. She wants some more treats. I want some treats. I'm hungry. So yeah, I think that's that. Not a completely successful Advent of Codage, but this was a successful test stream, so that worked. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you in, like 8-9 days when Advent of Code starts. See you then. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.